This is the Tornado Trackers podcast. The Tornado Trackers are storm chasers Jeremy Heyman, Jeff Mangum, and me, Gabe Cox.
Hey everyone, I'm Jeremy.
I'm Gabe.
And I'm Jeff.
Welcome to the Tornado Trackers podcast. We are so excited to have you here today. We've got an amazing show. We're so excited. We've got a guest on the show today who is kind of a hero for us, I think. But before we dive into that, Gabe, you teased a little bit of something. You've got a little nugget to chat about.
I got a nugget.
What do you got?
I found this little, I was reading my kids' National Geographic Kids, and this one popped up that I thought was pretty interesting. I'm a little curious how they figured this one out, but it says one lightning bolt contains enough energy to toast about 100,000 slices of bread.
Wow.
So do what you will with that piece of information.
That seems
I thought it was
low
interesting.
to me, right?
I thought the same thing, actually.
Yeah.
I think it could probably burn through 100,000 slices
or
of bread
toaster
completely.
strudels.
Yeah, I would say like 100,000 loaves at least.
Maybe it's powering the toaster oven. I'm not sure.
It's like lightning is like hotter than the surface of the sun. That's Nat Geo. We love you.
I don't know if that's a trusted source anymore. I'm going to put that one aside.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
How you guys doing?
Doing awesome.
Yeah, doing great, man.
Jeff, you're in a special spot right now, special location.
I am. I'm in the KXAN studios here in Austin, Texas. And so been having some fun with the green screen and failing miserably and relearning what humility is in a lot of ways, but having a blast.
Dude,
That sounds awesome.
I've heard you're a natural. Well, that's a great segue into let's bring our guest in. Our guest, I know, was itching to talk about the lightning, so let me intro him really quick, and then he can set us straight. Recently celebrating his 30th anniversary at KXAN, Jim Spencer has been forecasting Austin and Central Texas weather longer than anyone in the history of Austin television. Jim has received extensive national recognition for his work. He is a past recipient of the National Weather Association's Weathercaster of the Year Award. Jim has been awarded 3 Emmys and has been nominated for several more. He is also a 5-time winner of the Texas Associated Press Best Weathercast Award and has been voted Austin's Best Weathercaster 21 times by readers of the Austin Chronicle. I want to know what happened those 9 other times. Honestly, that doesn't seem right to me. He should have
That's all our time, folks. Good night.
Jim Spencer, welcome to the Tornado Trackers podcast. It is a thrill to have you.
Thank you so much, and thanks for that wonderful introduction. And I'm thrilled to be with you guys. I have respected your work, used your work on the air so many times. It's just an honor for me to be with you. You guys are amazing, and we thank you for your contribution to the public safety. Thank you for your contribution to our broadcast here at KXAN. You guys catch tornadoes that nobody else can seem to find, and it's just the work you do is amazing. So I thank you.
Awesome.
It's a pleasure.
That's high praise. Yeah, I've kind of got chills right now. I'm like, wow, do we just hear that? That's rad. So Jim, something we like to ask everybody at the top of the show is what's your weather story? We believe everyone is affected by weather. You know that better than anyone else. Some of us go into the profession or we are kind of become weather fanatics. But do you have anything from your past or your history, maybe when you were a kid, kind of what flipped a switch in your brain about what made weather something really special to you?
I grew up in an area that you all have come to know well. You know, every back road in south central Oklahoma, probably in Garvin County. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Lindsay, in Garvin County, right in the middle of Tornado Alley in south central Oklahoma, about 40 miles south of Oklahoma City. And some of my earliest memories from childhood are of the tornado siren and what that would involve once the tornado siren sounded. Every little town in Oklahoma, as you know, has a tornado siren. Ours was an old air raid siren I heard from, World War II in Lindsay. And it's just the loudest thing. The whole town could hear it, and it just wailed, for at least 3 minutes after they set it off. And that meant we had to go next door because we didn't have a storm cellar, but our neighbors did. And we'd have to go down into the creepy cellar with the spiders, and it was so damp and moist, and, light candles and light the candles, then wait on the storm. And it was real scary when I was really young. But at some point, a switch flipped, and I recall it being about third grade that I just became really fascinated by the reaction that everyone had when this event happened, when there was a tornado warning and that siren sounded. We were all in my hometown, about 4,000 people growing up, all focused on this one event, and it changed everything that everybody was doing. And this mysterious thing called a tornado that I'd never laid eyes on before, but I wanted to see it. And so I was about in third grade when I started asking, my dad, can I stay up? Because he'd be the last one to come to the storm cellar if he came. Can I stay up here? I want to see it too. Now you guys get on down there. I'll be there if I need to. And so in third grade also, I started watching the news because I became so fascinated by it. I wanted to see when the next chance we had of a tornado, because it became something I really looked forward to. And I started watching a meteorologist on Channel 9 in Oklahoma City. He just started when I was in third grade, as a matter of fact, about 1972-ish. His name is Gary England. You're all very familiar with him.
Oh, yeah.
I started watching Gary England when he first started up there in 1972, and I was probably the only third grader that watched the news every night, but I watched it for the weather. And I didn't know better then, but if the forecast was sunny for the next week, I'd still watch every night to see if a tornado might have entered the forecast for tomorrow, right? So by the time I was in fourth grade, I remember specifically telling my classmates when it was what are you going to do for your career day? I'm going to be a weatherman one day. So I wanted to do what Gary England did. I wanted to tell people about tornadoes on TV, and I never really thought about anything else. But the thing that my weather story, I guess, would relate to. Really bad storms, tornado warnings every year, the tornado siren going off every year. Of course, we think the fire department, the guys down there, our storm chasers around Lindsay, they had a real easy trigger for the tornado siren. It never really happened most of the time. But, that's what really got my passion in weather initiated.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I personally really relate with that. I grew up in Nebraska, and very similar tornado sirens, and tested them each week. And it's a potent thing for a little kid to experience all that, and especially you going down into the cellar. That's very memorable for a little kid. Absolutely.
And then we had a few bad ones. We had a tornado go directly over my house, did some tree damage, but the roar. I've heard the roar from inside our neighbor's cellar, and our neighbor had a cellar that had a tin roof. I mean, the door, the cellar door was tin. And so you got golf ball size hail raining down on that tin door. And it was just the scariest thing, ever. But that particular tornado, which I think was 1974, I remember distinctly hearing the roar of that tornado when we came out. There was damage around town. But that was the scariest one.
Wow. Yeah, that's so impactful. Those memories don't leave us.
And you know what? You said you remember that tornado siren when you were young. Actually, I was home a couple of months ago, and they tested the siren on a Thursday afternoon at noon, whenever they do it now. And I was so excited about it. I got my phone and I recorded it.
I do the same thing. They test them in Georgetown the first Saturday of every month, and I make everyone stop. I'm like, everyone, don't bother me right now. Give me 10 seconds.
And this was like a couple of months ago I did that.
It's the call of our people.
Is that right?
It's our church bells. Yeah. So, Jim, you're closing the book on an incredible 30-year career forecasting weather in Central Texas. Nobody probably knows the weather in that area better than you. So what comes to your mind after that career of being that connected with forecasting in that area? What comes to mind when you hear Central Texas weather?
I would say the volatility, but as you guys know, it's not all that crazy volatile, where we live, except when it comes to flash flooding. Yeah. We can have an event that doesn't look like much, and then a few days later, it's turned into just an incredible flash flood event around here because we live in Flash Flood Alley. Yep. The terrain, the hill country here, we're just so flash flood prone. That comes to mind immediately. we get the right amount of severe weather here. When I was a kid, I'd always planned on working in Oklahoma City because I grew up watching Oklahoma City. I wanted to work shoulder to shoulder with Gary England.
Yeah.
But man, their viewing area in Oklahoma City it covers the whole state, and they cover severe weather every day from March till June sometimes, and it would be too much. It really would. So we get the right amount of severe weather down here to really keep me engaged and keep it interesting. And otherwise, I love Austin. I love the climate. Oklahoma was too cold for me. Tells you how cold-natured I am. And I think about as I look back over my 30 years, I think about the, big events that I've covered. They come to mind. They stand out.
That's something that really kind of sparks my brain. I grew up here in the Austin area, and so I was a teenager when you began broadcasting here in Austin. And so getting to talk with you and get to know you is uniquely exciting for me because you were the one that I watched. You were my Gary England. And so I went to college about 45 minutes north of Austin. And there's a particular day that we'd love to spend some time talking about, and I'm sure you know exactly what that is. The most monumental weather day seems to be in Texas history, or one of them at least, but the Jarrell, Texas tornado from May 27th, 1997. Would love just to hear some of your thoughts on a couple of things. What was it like to broadcast that day? And then what are just some of the thoughts that come to mind about that day? I'm sure there are plenty.
Oh, man. Yeah. It was the single biggest weather event I worked in, not only my 30-year career here at KXAN, but I've been forecasting the weather every day for 37 years. Started my first television station was Ada, Oklahoma, Sherman Denison, Texas market. And by far the biggest, most important, deadliest weather event that I worked in my entire career. And, you mentioned that day specifically. I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal. We were outlooked in a severe weather outlook, but kind of the southern edge, slight risk. The first tornado watch came out, and Williamson County was may have been the southernmost county if it was even included initially. I think it probably was. And a kind of a broad trough coming in from the west, not great wind shear, as you guys know. You guys know all the meteorology of that event that day. And so I had no suspicion that it would end up being anything more than, kind of a typical late May severe weather day, which can be bad, no doubt about it. Tornado is certainly a possibility, but an F5, nobody could have ever predicted that. But the interesting thing about that day is it became obvious early that we were going to have a tornado in our viewing area. Our viewing area begins on the Williamson-Bell County line at Jarrell, basically. Jarrell is in our viewing area. And we started having reports of multiple tornado touchdowns near Waco. And then they started building south of Waco and southwest down the cold front. And so I had so much time to prepare for that tornado that, I told the crew, hey, get the lights turned on, the camera in here. I'm going to go put on some makeup and get myself a drink and all of that. And so I got really set up and established. And we went on the air. I said, let's go on at, I think it was right at 3 p.m. We did our first cut-in, and we started talking about the tornadoes that were headed south toward the Jarrell area, or toward Williamson County, toward our viewing area, but they weren't there yet. But no tornado warning had been issued. So we went on really early, stayed on for a little while, and then when the first tornado warning was issued, which I think was 3:20 p.m. for Williamson County and Jarrell, we went back on and went wall-to-wall if we hadn't already been on wall-to-wall before then. But we started telling folks in Jarrell and in northern Williamson County at straight up 3 p.m. there are tornadoes, multiple tornadoes. They're clearly continuing to develop down along this cold front, so we suspect there's a good chance there will be a tornado warning issued for Jarrell, northern Williamson County. Start making your preparations right now.
We've had spotter reports of tornado on the ground as close as Salado to you folks in the Jarrell area, and we are continuing to get a very good indication of some pretty strong shear in this thunderstorm. You folks in Jarrell need to take your tornado precautions at this time.
The maddening thing about that whole event is that we had such good warning, and everybody did the right thing.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being, the monster, an F5 that you had to be underground or out of the way to survive. I say that. There were a few people that did survive, that their homes were swept away, which is a whole other story. But yeah, what stands out to me is I was proud of how we handled it, and that we were in place, and that we were the first on the air. We warned that storm very, very well, and it still ended up where 27 people lost their lives, even though they were doing the right thing. But, unlike Oklahoma City, especially back then, we don't have a helicopter that launches when there's tornadoes that start touching down. In fact, we had a helicopter once, and honestly, my boss wouldn't let us launch the helicopter if there might be a thunderstorm in the area. Okay, that's the general rule, right?
Yeah.
Up there, they launch the helicopter to go look for the tornadoes, as you guys know, Channel 4, Channel 9 up there. So we didn't have any visual on that tornado to see how it spun up from the rope and the F0 and F1 until it grew to this F5. In Oklahoma City, I've heard Gary England many times, more Oklahoma tornadoes. Folks, look at this tornado. We're showing it to you live right now. This is one you need to be underground or out of the way. And that saved lots of lives, having that visual on the kind of tornado it was.
Yeah.
We didn't have that luxury. And never in our wildest dreams would we believe that an F5 tornado was about to spin up. And so it was the standard tornado rules, go to the lowest floor in your home, interior room, hallway, bathroom, closet, put as many walls between you and the tornado as possible, get down low, cover up, get in the bathtub if you can. The standard tornado rules should have applied, and everybody would have been fine. But little did we know, the first and only F5 tornado ever, to this day, up to then and to this day, in this part of Texas, to form was going to form there in Jarrell.
West of I-35, across the Williamson County line into northern Williamson County, near the Jarrell area. Do not try to drive up I-35, as that roadway has been closed. I just spoke with News 36 reporter James Lynch, who is in this area near Jarrell. He and photojournalist Mike Price, and they say that this tornado has been on the ground almost continuously right along IH-35, just southeast of Jarrell. If you live in any of
you guys know all about it, and I think probably all of your listeners, they're weather and tornado geeks, they know all about Jarrell.
Yeah.
But it was just crazy. And then it went on from there. After Jarrell, we had the EF3. I say EF back then. I've been here so long, I only know F3. We had the F3 in Cedar Park. And then not long after that, we had the F4 form. Funny thing about that, it formed as a water spout on Lake Travis, honestly.
Wow.
Went on land out there near Hazy Hills in western Travis County, and then turned into the F4, which to this day is the only F4 tornado ever recorded in Travis County.
Wow.
Wow. I did not know that.
And it gets looked over because of the Jarrell tornado.
Yeah. Speaking, and some of our audience might not be familiar with the Jarrell tornado. So what do you remember about the damage from Jarrell?
Well, I remember the first video that came back. We had sent photographers that way. We got them on the road pretty early because we knew there were tornadoes coming south. And so we had a photog on I-35 there shooting the Jarrell tornado. Some of the most famous video of the Jarrell tornado was the tornado from KXAN. And so once that video got back, we didn't send a live truck. I don't think they fed it. They had to drive it back here. Traffic was a nightmare because it was really severe storm in Austin. So they had to drive it back here. And then so at some point, about 4 o'clock or whatever, they put the video up for me to look at. And I'm like, oh, my God. That looks like I think I might have said that looks like it had to be at least an F4.
Just from the visual look at the tornadoes that our photographers captured today on videotape up near Jarrell, looks to me that may be F3, F4 variety.
And then the damage pictures, it was hard. We didn't get damage pictures for a while because, they wouldn't let anybody near that place, right?
Right.
We didn't get damage pictures for a while. But once I heard that, but we did learn pretty quickly that evening that there were 25, 27, maybe 30 people dead. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that it was going to be, everything was going to be wiped away. And it kind of was. The director, who's also listening in on our podcast, reminded me that we did have a live reporter north of Jarrell, but we had a real spotty signal because he was out in the country and we couldn't really get it.
Wow.
And then after about 2 hours after the tornado hit, I forgot about this. We rented a helicopter for the first aerial video.
Wow.
We had the first aerial damage video.
pushing the microwave back and forth.
Our director's walking through the studio. He's reminding me of some things I'd forgotten about. Yeah, the reason we had a spotty signal of not seeing the tornado live is that the wind was so crazy. It was just pushing the microwave back and forth. We couldn't lock in on the signal. But yeah, I forgot about renting that chopper. We went and got the first aerial footage not long after the tornado hit. So that
helicopter footage. So I used to do what you did as a kid, and I would watch the news to learn more about tornadoes. And when the Jarrell tornado happened, I was in 6th grade, and I watched the world news that night, and it was that helicopter footage that you just talked about. I was already obsessed with tornadoes, but then to see the damage, and if people haven't, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen it, go look up videos of it. It will blow your mind what this tornado did, because there wasn't even damage left behind. Yeah. It was just mud and foundations.
Texas
piping.
It sucked up the grass and the asphalt. Like there was absolutely, it looked like it was cleared with a bulldozer. But it was the tornado.
We say, all it left was a foundation. It really didn't even leave the entire foundation. It pulled up the plumbing out of the foundation. It pulled up anchor bolts.
Oh, my God.
That held the frame of the house. The anchor bolts were gone. I talked to a Texas Tech wind expert who described it as possibly the most intense tornado damage on record.
Wow.
I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you look at the footage, it's not hard to believe, because it's just.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was looking at as a kid. I was like, well, where's the damage?
Yeah.
Because it just looked like
where are the houses? Right.
Right.
Just so many horrible stories that came out of there.
I'm curious, what was and what did you feel in terms of being a broadcaster that day? Was there a unique pressure and responsibility that you felt in that while that was going on?
Again, while it was going on, it was, for me, another tornado warning. It was just the standard. Another thing is we had the only live Doppler radar in Austin at the time. We had an actual live radar at the time with a Doppler feature. And so we were looking at that. We were seeing the inbound and outbound winds. But we'd already had reports, literally, I think, of at least 7 tornadoes had touched them. It's just kind of crazy what had happened about Waco. But every report we were getting is they were all small. So that's what I thought we were dealing with, honestly. And, Jarrell started out as this little rope, as you know, a real small little tornado, and then I call it just an absolute freak of nature, that tornado that day. A absolute freak of nature, how it spun up into that F5, and then before it got to and moving southwest along the front at 5 miles per hour. That never happens,
Yeah.
And so it was only later that I knew what we had dealt with. Make a long story short, I thought it was an average tornado day. Hey, everybody, you're going to be fine. As all tornadoes are, I didn't say this, thank God, but as all tornadoes are around here, they're EF0s, EF1s, EF2s. If you're in your house that's not a mobile home, you're fine if you go to that interior room, lowest level, cover up with pillows, blankets, you're going to be okay. That's what still pains me to this day, is that advice did not work that day. The only thing that gives me any comfort at all is that a family member of one of the families in Jarrell, Double Creek Estate subdivision that was wiped out, there were 3 members of that family in one of the homes, and they all went to the center room, into the bathtub, and covered up. The house was wiped off the foundation, but 2 of the family members that were in the bathtub, while they were blown, out into the field somewhere, they both survived. The gentleman in that family did not. And I had a relative of them tell me one day privately that, I just want you to know that our family credits you with our family surviving that tornado. Even though we lost one of our family members, they credit your warnings for telling them exactly what to do. Wow. So, that makes me feel a little better, but still, 27 people died doing what they were supposed to.
Unbelievable.
So having done broadcast meteorology for 30 years, what advice would you give to aspiring meteorologists or young meteorologists who maybe enter wide-eyed and then they're hit with a situation like this and feel some sense of responsibility and reconciling their passion for weather with these events that happen? Yeah,
that's a good question. My advice to my interns over the years, have been the official information that you are required to relay to the public, our FCC requirements are that we relay official information to the public. And so that's from the National Weather Service, right?
Yeah.
And so you provide those warnings, watches and warnings in a timely manner to the public through our broadcast means and now all kinds of other means, social media, digital, or KXAN.com, and you give the appropriate safety information related to that warning. If there's a flash flood, you're supposed to do this, this, this. In this kind of situation, you do this. If it's a tornado warning, again, get underground when possible. That's the safest place to be. But if you don't have underground shelter, the interior room, lowest level. And, we'll never, in our lifetimes, I bet we never have another F5 tornado around here. That's how rare that was. And so those safety tips that are the official advice from the National Weather Service are effective and they save lives. I encourage everyone to, don't take too much responsibility on your shoulders or too much blame on your shoulders. You give the best warning you can possibly give. You give the official advice for making your viewers safe during this particular situation. And if you have reason to believe that there's something else at play here, we'll let them know that. Be honest with them, of course. But that's all we can do. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. And 99% of the time, that's really all we can do. But we want to give them a heads up. It's coming. Here's what you should do. So do this. Rarely do you say, do something else.
Right.
As you know, they have changed the guidelines a little bit over the years. Mm-hmm. Like instead of immediately if you see a tornado, get out of your car and get into a ditch. Now there's the whole, and they changed a little bit, as you know, about mobile homes. Now, don't just get out of your mobile home and go get in a ditch. If your best option and you're in a mobile home is to go get into your car and drive somewhere else, okay, do that. They changed that a few years back. The official safety rules for mobile homes. And I think even if you're driving down the road, the advice now is, and I know it is if you leave a mobile home and you're in your car, you drive to a more sturdy structure is what I'm saying. Drive to a more sturdy structure.
Right.
But if you get into debris, you're supposed to put your seatbelt on and you lay down below window level of the car. And if you can pull into a ditch and lay down, that's even better. But some safety rules have changed over the years, and that's one of them. I know you guys would probably do that exact same thing. You've been in debris before. What did you do?
I've had to do that before, actually.
Yeah.
It was not a fun experience. That's for another podcast, though.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to that.
So Jim, what advice would you give to the kids in high school or junior high who are like pretty finding themselves fascinated with weather, with science? What advice would you give them as they start to kind of their journey of maybe inching towards meteorology or broadcast meteorology?
Right. There are kind of two different things that I would say to them. In fact, I got an email today from a senior in high school that wants my advice. I haven't responded yet, but I will. I always answer those. I always try to pay it forward. Gary England, I don't only watch him. He became my mentor in this business, and I credit him with my success. I really do. And so it's always been my goal, and I've succeeded at that goal, is paying that forward to my interns and helping them progress. So my advice is to those students that write to me or talk to me at Career Days about, I really want to do what you do, like I want to do what Gary England did. I tell them, do as well as you can at math and at science. You can get online right now and learn more about meteorology. Jetstream Weather School, for example. You can get online right now and see everything that I see, basically, weather models, etc. When I was in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, I went to the library and they had the same 2 weather books in the library that I checked out over and over. And now, so I tell them, you can know so much about the weather by the time you graduate high school that you are well on your way already. But math, obviously, and science is so important. If you want to do what I do, and some of them say, I don't really want to be on TV. Okay, really focus on the math science. But if you want to do what I do, get into communications, debate, speech events, acting, whatever. Because part of what we do on TV is really, it's a performance too, because it's not a normal thing to be standing and talking to people and there's just a camera standing in front of you. That's not normal. So you have to pretend sort of. That your audience is there, and they are there. They're just on the other side of a camera lens. One other thing I say for broadcasters is if you can get a gig in radio early in your career, man, that's helpful because DJs, they just ad-lib everything, right? And it makes you a good ad-libber. And when we do the weather on TV, we don't read the teleprompter. We're out there ad-libbing that weathercast. Of course, the maps are kind of our teleprompter. But communication, any way you can improve that, that's what to do. Otherwise, it's math, it's science, it's meteorology. I recommend students get a Bachelor of Science in meteorology when possible. But it's not always necessary. Some people, I hated math. I did not get a BS in meteorology. Math was my worst subject. There are other opportunities that you have to break into broadcast meteorology through programs like at Mississippi State, and there are others that is focused on broadcast meteorology. You learn the physics, you learn the meteorology, but you don't have to get really detailed in 3 semesters of math, intense math and calculus 4 and stuff that you will never, ever use again in a TV broadcast setting. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But they also help you at the same time prepare for the broadcast end of it. So one of those 2 tracks. But if you want to work at the National Weather Service, I say a BS in meteorology at the University of Oklahoma is where I would recommend. No, there are a lot of good meteorology schools out there, but man, OU is something. As you guys know, it's the center of the meteorological universe, and so I've sent a few of my the younger kids that have written me and whatnot to OU over the years, and they've been appreciative.
That's awesome. I know the non-math person kid inside of me. There was a roller coaster there. I was like, oh man, I need math at first, and then you pulled me back in. I was like, I guess I don't need math.
I can steer you to some good programs that are focused on broadcast meteorology, and even if you suck at math, we can get you there. We can still get you there.
That's good because I think all 3 of us do.
But look how successful you've been. I mean, you guys are the best tornado trackers. I personally, literally, it's in your name, tornado trackers. But seriously, I mean, just in our local area, you find tornadoes that, were it not for your video, we would have no confirmation that a tornado had ever touched down unless the Weather Service came in and did the survey, because it's way out in the country somehow, and somehow you guys are in the right place at the right time. I mean, you guys already know the atmosphere, especially when it comes to the most important thing, severe weather and tornado development. So, as you know, you don't have to be a great mathematician to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you for saying that, Jim.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and thank you for that advice, Jim. We know you got to run, but I wanted to follow up on that first question that we had about the lightning in the bread that Gabe gave us.
Does that seem plausible?
Yeah, is that number a little low? The 100,000.
I thought it was a little low because I recall that seeing something about how one lightning bolt, the energy from one lightning bolt could power a city for whatever, or could power a light bulb for how many ever years or something like that. So it seemed a little low to me.
I'm going to follow up with the editor on that one.
And I needed to get your take on that, Jim. So I appreciate that.
I wish I had a better answer. How many cities or how many light bulbs? How long it could power a light bulb for? But I think it's a long time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, Jim Spencer, thank you so much for your time. We know you're literally in between broadcasts right now, so we so appreciate your time, and you've meant so much in our lives. So many people could say that, but it's just us 3 here today. So we want to let you know how much you've meant to us and been in our living rooms and
That's right.
given us the information that we needed to know to keep our families safe. And so thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and
congratulations on 30 years.
That's right.
Thank you. And it is a semi-retirement. You still will see me occasionally, especially when the weather is bad. I'm really, really excited and looking forward to it. And thank you for your nice words. I really appreciate those, and I really appreciate the relationship we have with you all. Thank you. You all stay safe out there.
Thank you, Jim. Well, that's it, fellas. That's another amazing episode, incredible interview. Jim Spencer, what an amazing person. I could have talked to him for a couple more hours. The guy is just incredible. If you ever find yourself reading one of his bios, what this guy is into, just volunteering in the community and just being an incredible human being. Wow. Well, follow us everywhere on social media at Tornado Trackers, Twitter, Instagram. Send us some of your weather stories. We would love to read what made you a weather person. Submit those through our website or just leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts. We would love to read those weather stories on air. But that's it. That's all we got for this week. Another awesome episode. Thank you, Gabe Cox. Thank you, Jeff Mangum. We will catch y'all in a couple weeks on another episode of the Tornado Trackers podcast. See ya.